Hello everyone and welcome to Race 5 review of the Season 3 TheLoggBox F1. Cue music.
It's time for the fucking gentleman.
Play ball!
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Yay! Hello. Good evening. We're back again. So, as the intro said, Race 5 is in the books. Nice little race around Spain. And yeah, it's without further ado, we'll get cracking. We'll get straight into it. Today we've got with us Jackomanacoman, first time caller.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Hello, Jacko. Say hello to all the adoring fans.
Hello, everybody.
Joe.
Hello.
Joe, yeah. Are you excited to be on?
I am. It's podcast debut, podcast virgin. Yeah,
Okay,
excited.
Considered your cherry popped, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
Couldn't ask for it to be popped in a better place. Popped with two middle-aged men. Love it. So race 5 in the books. So let's get into it. Let's go through qualifying. So just a bit of background. Everyone knew this track because this was the track that I suggested everyone use to try and get a gauge on everyone's ability and put them in a corresponding car to give people an advantage who would need it and people a handicap who would need it. So we all knew this track fairly well. But I don't think the qualifying results were particularly close, to be fair. Certainly not outside of the front two. So, but anyway, let's go through. So, on pole was Fuzzy Felt in his Alpha Tauri. He popped that in towards the end of the session.
Yep, feeling a bit unstoppable, old Fuzzy, with his newfound form.
Yeah, with his previous race win, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Second was Jackomanacoman in his Red Bull. Third was Tumshi in his Alpine. And then I followed Tumshi in my lovely Haas. Following me was Rich in his Williams. After Rich was Mikey in his Mercedes.
Red Bull?
No, yeah, Red Bull. He's in Red Bull. Sorry, yeah, Mercedes last year. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's in Red Bull. Yes, exactly. I saw that in my mirror for far too long.
Yeah. And following Mikey was the man of the hour again, Adam.
Yep.
Eighth was Dave in his Ferrari. And then 9th was Brian in his Mercedes. And everyone below that was an AI. So qualifying, Jacko. You were on pole for probably the majority.
Yeah.
And then you had it snatched away towards the end.
Yeah, it was quite unexpected, actually. I would say I'm average at best in terms of capability. So, on average, been sort of qualifying around 5th, 6th-ish, sometimes 4th.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a bit of a surprise. Came out early, first fast lap, and put it on pole.
And then you went in the garage, didn't you?
Yeah, I went in and I actually felt quite confident. I think I was about a second ahead of most people, so I was feeling relatively confident. I think it was only Mikey was behind me by about a second, and he was obviously in the Red Bull as well. And so sort of just left it there, but got pipped right at the end, unfortunately.
No one really was apart from Fuzzy when he put his final lap in, no one really made any inroads into that pole position time. I didn't put in a bad time, but I just couldn't get close. But I knew I was going to struggle because when we were a couple of days before when I was practicing, I barely got it into the 119s regularly.
Yeah.
So the minute Jacko put in a 119.7, I think
Yeah,
he did.
it was 19. I think it's about 119.8 ish.
Yeah, I knew at that point, I thought, I'm going to really struggle. I'd have had to have put a flawless lap in. I didn't put a flawless lap, but even then, I was always going to struggle.
Which is just to put that in context. When I raced the McLaren round on this as our test track, then 119.8 was the absolute maximum. I was still top of the tree when we going into this in terms of the McLaren time. So
Yeah,
and that was a lap that I had done 50 times to get that. So 1.9 is not just that. I think a combination of the Red Bull being a strong car around this track, but that was a step up in class.
I think it shows this in real life. This track up until Bahrain, Catalonia, the Spanish Grand Prix, was always a track that teams would test at because it's a very good barometer of the all-around ability of your car.
Yeah,
and I
absolutely.
think that does make a difference on this one. I think the previous 4 races haven't really had that, but this isn't just like straight sweeping corners. It's got everything, and if you haven't got a particularly good car, you're going to struggle. And I think that played out in qualifying and certainly in the race as well. Actually, to be fair.
How much practice did you put in, Jacko?
So I did a little bit towards coming up to race day. To be honest, I've been struggling to get on. I've been going to bed really early recently. Managed to get a little bit of practice in. To be honest, what I actually did, which obviously paid off a little bit because I did fairly well, was I actually put full traction control on.
Oh.
So up to now, I've been doing medium traction control. So I actually switched it up prior. I did like a couple of laps with full traction control, and I thought I'll give it a go, see what happens. And obviously, it's proved to be fairly fruitful.
Now, full traction control can slow you down quite a bit on a lot of courses. You think you saw it in the last race. You were complaining about it taking the power off, especially in not Azerbaijan, in Jeddah. I remember we were testing it because it takes if you go off the racing, go off the track even and try and come on it takes all the power out and gets you back on the track.
Yeah, that's what because Adam joined us after that. That's what Adam said.
Yeah,
I think it. Yeah, so I think the last couple of races I was just really struggling a bit, so I thought I'll just take it back a bit, simplify it. Went full traction control and just gave me a bit more confidence to kind of floor it really. So it in the end ended up second in quali because Fuzzy came in right at the end. I think it was last lap he did, maybe the last minute came in and just nipped me by, I don't know how, was it like 2/10, something like that?
Yes, I think he did a 119.6, but I know you went out, but then because I went out as well.
Yeah.
Just before you, but we got caught up in the inevitable AI.
Yeah,
train.
exactly.
So.
Yeah, if you leave it too late, you're kind of shafted really because you just get caught in the AI and then you're risking penalties and stuff. So I thought I'd back off and take my second place.
There was no penalties in this qualifying, not even from Adam, which is a new one for this season. I don't think we've seen a penalty-less quali. So, yeah. But I think that's the corner. I think most won't admit it, but I think most of those penalties are corner cutting penalties that we are seeing.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you can't cut the corners on this one.
No, because the inside of the corners isn't tarmac. 90% of it is grass or gravel.
I'd be interested to see how that tactic works in Australia, the next one, Jacko, because there are some corners there where you go off wide. So you might want to run that through some practice to see how that takes it. Because it takes, you understand what I mean? It takes the power off. It takes all the power off and expects you to get back on the track.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something I'll have a little tinker with. I just think like the last couple of races have just been well off the pace. Just lost a little bit of confidence with it. So I just thought, simplify it a little bit. But yeah, I'm going to try and get a bit more because we've got a bit of a gap now. So try and get a bit more practice in and have a little tinker. So yeah.
Excellent. Right, well, there you go. Qualifying in the books. And then we moved on to the race. So, we'll go into it, give you the results, and we'll have a good chat. So, the race results. Top in the tree was our co-host, or joint co-host today, Jackomanacoman. Congratulations, first win. First win of the season.
Thank you. Very good. It must be a blessing because it's the second time we've done the podcast. We got the guest and we got the winner.
Yeah,
that's a good bit of luck. Yeah. Good bit of luck. How you feeling? Is this the start of a win streak or a one-off?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. To be honest, a bit of a surprise. Wasn't really wasn't really expecting any wins this season, to be honest. I know I'm in a Red Bull, which is a strong car, but like I said, I would say I'm a very mediocre racer. But yeah, I was quite surprised, but it was a difficult race at times, but we'll get into that.
Well, maybe you found your tactics, and maybe this, knowing the course. I take it you know this course inside out, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, we did the pre-season race we did here, and yeah, I've raced it lots of times. I've raced it in old F1 games, and I like watching the F1, so I got a bit of a familiarity with the track. So
I think that says a lot. So the combination of the three, the car that performs well on this, you knowing the track, and the changing of the tactics, I think was the formula. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So following Jacko was Fuzzy Felt in second. In third was Tumshi. In fourth was Adam, Mr. Silent Reaver. In fifth, good result, was Mikey in the sister Red Bull. I was sixth. Rich followed me in seventh. Dave, or Man in the Men US, followed in eighth. And unfortunately, Brian didn't score a point because he ended up finishing 12th.
Yeah, so it's worth saying that there was 25 seconds between second and third, so between Fuzzy and Tumshi. So, but there was only 3 seconds between Fuzzy and you, Jacko. So
yeah.
And Fuzzy also put the fastest lap of the race in, but Fuzzy also went for a bit of an odd strategy. But we'll go on to that in a sec. So
let's talk about the start.
Yes.
Let's talk about the start.
How was your start, Rich?
Wow. I was coming from 5th. It was all right, so it was a bit of a melee. But that first corner, it's always chaos. Because it's a fast first corner. Well, it's a slam the brakes on and then exit fast, which means everyone is trying to do that, and no one wants to be behind on that corner because that second and third corner coming out, you want to have the power down, and if you're not up ahead, you're away. So, but yeah, it was a total clusterfuck as far as I was concerned. James, you ruined it for me, I think.
So I ruined it for you, but it was an absolute cluster. What was odd in this one was the usually there's a nice delay between the 5 red lights going out, but this was like instant. Almost as soon as the 5th red light went on, they were gone.
It was quick, yeah.
It was really quick. So I got a really good start, and I was behind Jacko, and I didn't want to run him up the arse, so I purposely lifted off the accelerator and broke when I noticed he was braking.
So you'd made up a place then, had you? You'd gone ahead of Tumshi.
I jumped Tumshi because I made a better start than him.
Fair enough.
Absolutely. And obviously I made sure I'd properly jumped him because I was up the inside of him as well.
Fair enough. If you're going to jump in, you want to get on the inside of him for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't want to be dry humping him.
No, absolutely not. And then I got shunted from behind.
By who?
Well, I mean, it's not everyone. That's not even a question that needs answering. Really, everyone knows who it is.
So it wasn't clear, was it? Because you got a shunt. And what I'd done is I'd run wide. I'd chosen to go wide because I thought, well, if I get pushed out, I'll take the inside and just bounce back on, and I'll just get. I probably won't lose a place. But even on the inside of the corner, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, boom, something span at me, and it was you. It was that fucking
Yeah, it
ass.
was me. So yeah, so Adam, because Adam was starting behind you in 7th, so I didn't think I'd have a problem. But he pulled to the inside and was ended up behind me, and basically just ploughed into the back of my car. I then hit Jacko as Jacko was.
Oh, I didn't know you were involved, Jacko. I thought you'd got
Yeah,
away.
So I clipped the back of Jacko's car, which almost put him into a spin. But as he was recovering it, I had to slow down because I was still behind him, and then Adam hit me again as we were turning into the second corner, which then put me into a spin, and I then span. Obviously, I was spinning towards the left, and then I that's when I sideswiped you off the track.
I was convinced I was away because I could just see it further away, and then all of a sudden the back of my car just span out. I didn't even see it. It was only when the car spun round I could see it was you, and there was plenty. The air turned blue, but the thing is, I don't think you knew it was Adam at that point.
No, I didn't think it was Adam. I thought no. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I assumed it was Adam, but I didn't think it was because he was starting on the opposite side of the grid.
He was off mic, wasn't he? I think he was off mic, so we were all speculating who was the culprit.
And there was definite silence from Adam, and then Adam, and then I think it was like 30 seconds later, Adam goes, "And I'm back."
Yeah.
And then obviously I instantly went, "Adam, did you hit me at the arse on the first corner?" And he basically said yes.
Yeah.
And I think I dropped down to about 10th or 11th. I think after that.
Yeah. So I think from my perspective, it was obviously I was up second up with Fuzzy. Fuzzy got a great start. I got a fairly good start. I was pretty happy, but I think although I was giving it the big guns before the start, saying I wasn't going to give it up the inside to Fuzzy. It was a bit like, okay, I'm up in second. I want to try and get round without getting knocked. So I definitely broke quite early going into that first corner. And then, obviously James was behind me and went right up my rear. So
did that knock you off course though? You must have recovered.
Yeah, it definitely, my back end went out a bit, but I managed, because it wasn't like at any high speed, I managed to correct it. And then I was away actually. So I think Tumshi actually was pretty clear as well. So I think he managed to escape quite a bit of it.
Yeah,
so he was alongside me for the first few corners, and then I managed to get past him. And by that time, Fuzzy had gone. So he was probably, 3 seconds clear within the first lap. He was gone.
Yeah. And that's his favoured position. Usually when Fuzzy's gone, he's gone.
But I think it's important to point out that most of us, I think I started on hard tyres. Did you start on hard tyres, Jacko?
I did, yeah. Actually, yeah, I think, did I start on the hards? I was basically, I was going for the opposite to what the game would tell me.
So you would have gone on hards. You started hards because we started. Me and James started mediums because.
No, I started hard in this race.
No, I did start hard. I did start hard, and then
But the reason Fuzzy got such a good start and was away was because he started on softs.
Yeah, it was a surprise.
Everyone one stopped, apart from Fuzzy, who 2 stopped.
Bold strategy.
It was a very bold strategy, but he was gone. So I think, but he didn't get away enough, and then the tyres started to go off.
Yeah, so I managed to. He was about 3 seconds away, and then I managed to pull away from the pack a little bit, and I managed to just keep it at 3 seconds, just me and Fuzzy, and we were just extending as a 2. And then his tyres started going. I mean, I knew I was just going to do a 1 stop. I didn't actually take into consideration that he would have to stop twice. It wasn't sort of coming into my head. So, because I think he went soft, medium, soft.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he did.
I think he went soft on. So there's 33 laps, so I think he went soft on 24, 25, leaving him 8 laps to go, which is just at the limit of those softs. But he must have been knocking a second off you each lap, because you would have been on pretty well worn mediums by that point.
So he wasn't like pulling away massively, and then obviously he came in fairly early for his first pit, but by that time, so I was coming to the end of my tyres and he was on fresh mediums, and I was just starting to lose it a little bit. So yeah, ended up coming in, but I came back out and he was probably, I don't know, 20 seconds ahead or something. And I did get a little push from, had a little tangle up with Tumshi at one point, which actually spun me, and I lost a bit of time there.
Okay.
So at that point, I wasn't thinking that Fuzzy would have to come in again. So I thought the race had gone, and then it dawned on me that actually he had to come back. He had to come in, change his tyres up, and go on to softs for his last stint.
Did you get the undercut then?
Yeah, so I ended up when he came out, I was ahead by, I think it was probably about 10 seconds.
Okay.
But he was because he was on softs and he's a better driver. He was just gradually
He's Mr.
taken
Consistent,
away.
Captain Consistent.
Yeah, it worked out. He was taking about 8/10, I think, per lap, and I was trying to work out in my head, and I was thinking last 2 laps he's going to be right on my ass basically. But I managed to get a little bit of consistency, and I was driving a bit cleaner. And in the end, I think his tyres started falling away again. So
Yeah.
last sort of couple of, it was a bit sketchy up until about 2 or 3 laps, and then at that point I just knew it was just down to me making sure I didn't spin.
I mean, you would have seen him in your mirrors around the last sector, going round the chicane and the hairpins.
Yeah, I mean, I was concentrated so hard I wasn't really noticing it. He said he could see me, so but yeah, the last sort of couple of laps felt a little easier, and I just knew it was just down to me basically making sure I didn't spin. And then yeah, it felt good. Felt good coming over the line in first. So first win of the season.
Very good.
Hopefully, it's giving me a bit of confidence to, you know, I know I've got a decent car, so
It is like being hunted down by like an android.
Yeah, he's just a super clean driver. He's a difficult. It was definitely difficult, and I was just, yeah, I think in the end it was just his tactics that sort of messed it up for him. So
His Ferrari tactics.
Yeah.
Standard.
As Rich said earlier, he's generally speaking, if he's first, he's away. He doesn't do particularly well back in the pack, or doesn't appear to. He seems to get a bit flustered and a bit tangled up. But if he's out in front, he's like Rich said, consistent. He's just pounds the laps in, and that's it.
Yeah,
he can
exactly.
be gone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so Tumshi and Adam, once they were away, Adam seemed to have no negative issues about T-boning you and I, James. There, but he was away. But I think him and Tumshi had a tussle. It was difficult to know. I was behind Adam for quite a while. I did cut into his time about 9 seconds ahead because I got through the pack. I think you were behind me. Don't know if I overtook you. I think I overtook Mikey.
Yeah, you overtook me. So I think I got out of the melee of the first part of the thing, and I think I was behind you. But then I think on the short back straight, I just pounded it up the inside, and I'm not sure who it was in front of you, but I used them to brake, essentially, and got past. It was an AI, so I didn't care. I was using the AI to part as brake for pretty much the first 3 or 4 laps, and then you and I got clear, and then I think I made a little mistake in the last sector. Okay, you got DRS and you passed me at the inside of the first corner,
Yeah.
and then I was up the inside of the second corner, and then I was trying to hang on around the outside of the third corner. I hung on too much, and I just drifted into the gravel a little bit.
But yeah, I mean, I chased Dave down for quite a while. To be honest, Dave had a really good race. He was consistent. I know he gets frustrated and everything like that, but he was hard to chase down. He wasn't making many mistakes until I got into his head, and he did, and he sort of gave it up a little bit, but that was fine. And then I was just Mikey was behind me, and I think that was about 9 laps of just a Red Bull, just getting ahead in the corners, and then just that Red Bull hunting you down, and that is off-putting. I'd gone the opposite to you, Jack. I'd taken all of the assists off, trying to get some extra speed because I knew this track inside out, and it worked up to a while. But at the end of the day, when you're under pressure, it only takes one little flick of the wrist and that thing's then, and also auto reset track. I just can't get my head around it, so I got stuck. So that let you in, James, on the last 2 laps.
Yeah, because I was chasing down. I think I'd have got close to Adam in 4th at one point. But I was doing what I always do. I try and drive every lap like it's a qualifying lap. And coming up to the final corner, you've got out of the chicane, you've got that sausage curb on the outside. Yeah. And I twice hit that sausage curb and span. Which loses you about 3 seconds, I think, give or take, if you then auto reset the track, if you can do that. So that lost me about 6-7 seconds, and that was it. I was done for. And then I was slowly trying to chase you down. I was again. I'd gain time, then I'd lose time. I'd gain time, I'd lose time. So I was pretty much going to be 7th. And then you did exactly what I did, and you beached it on the sausage curb.
Exactly. Well, that's all good. So I reckon we should wrap it up. That's congratulations to Jacko. That's great. Where are we next? And then I will run through where we are now.
So next week is a break week, and then after that next race 6 is in Australia on the 22nd of March, I believe it is. Which unfortunately I am going to miss because I am in Germany. Okay.
Ooh. Fair enough. All right, so let me very quickly run through this before we run out of time. So James is on 97, Tumshi is on 88, Fuzzy 71, Jacko with jumping into 4th ahead me on 69, I'm on 55, Adam is on 36, Dave is on 30, and then we have Brian. And so that wraps it up. See you next week. Play ball.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.